It's a cool Friday night here at Lakeside Stadium. It's round 17 in NPL Victoria here on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel. What a way to kick off your long weekend with a standalone Friday night clash between South Melbourne and Manningham United. The one and only game in Victoria's top flight on this Friday evening. It's a long round 17. It'll conclude on Monday afternoon on the public holiday with the Oakley game. But South Melbourne to take on Manningham United here, and quite a lot of changes to go through for both of these sides, including 5 that Esteban Quintas has inflicted on his South Melbourne lineup. 5 changes with Lampard not featuring this evening. He was injured against Hume City. Andy Brennan and Mario Barcia on the bench this evening, as well as Noel Bernarda and Painter Andrews out completely of this game for South Melbourne. Incoming Spiteri, Evans, Hilson, Marinkovic and Titsanaris getting a start this evening for South Melbourne. And for Manningham, 3 changes with their leading scorer, Christos Theodorakopoulos, out of tonight's game, as well as Abdul Abdallah, who was injured last week in that 1-1 draw against Green Gully. And Hayden Cross as well. In comes Reece Dufton, James Tuntis and Jose Ramirez, and we are underway on a Friday night at Lakeside Stadium. It's Ross Clark who is in charge of proceedings here. Marco Tavella with an early throw here. Manningham United in their red and white away kits this evening. So I wonder if Esteban Quintas does have one eye on the next upcoming fixture for South Melbourne in the Cup. Back here on Wednesday night against St Albans. Although this Friday night fixture somewhat friendly, resulting in what would be a 5-day turnaround after this particular encounter. Tuget sending a ball in, but cleared out quickly. Sawyer one out, tried to combine, but he was outnumbered. Manningham getting back and able to regain. Tavella for Golding. Some early touches for Tavella. Now Golding looking to find a way around Jankovic, who did score in the 90th minute to help South Melbourne to a 1-0 win over Hume City 6 nights ago. An early corner here for Manningham United, with Golding to send it in. Sent skyward. South just want to clear out. Titsanaris not blazing away down the line, out to space instead. Evans will be the one to send it towards Sawyer. In fine form right now, it's Harry Sawyer. Spiteri losing it, and it's going to run away from Golding. The fixturing of that cup fixture on Wednesdays worked out okay for South in terms of how it links in with their league fixtures here tonight. The 5-day break going into that Doherty Cup clash against St Albans, and then the league fixture in round 17 is on a Sunday at Olympic Village against Heidelberg United. Manningham United have no such worries in terms of cup fixtures coming up. They'll be hosting Port Melbourne at Petty's Reserve next Saturday, as we see Everson go down here. Did score against South. It was an interesting affair back in early March. It was a 5-2 win for South Melbourne at Manningham United. That was, in some ways, a sign of things to come in terms of Petty's Reserve being a really, really tough place to come and play as a visiting team. South did end up obviously putting 5 past Manningham on that afternoon. They were put to the test. Everson's goal coming in the 7th minute. They were up 2-0. Manningham United against what is now the league-leading South Melbourne. It's Sawyer, one out up front here this evening. Plenty of changes in this lineup. Hilson coming in as well, was looking to potentially combine with Sawyer, but right now it's a Manningham United ball. Ramirez back into the starting 11 this week. Junior Carter scored a nice goal in that 1-1 draw against Green Gully last week. It was Manningham's first draw in NPL Victoria. But now there's a chance here for South, who have been on the back foot a little bit, it must be said, so far in these early exchanges. There might be a chance here to thread one through for Mikola. It's blocked. And then Marshall sending it high and forward once more. Spiteri rushing one in. It's going to come all the way back to Harvey Lopez. Very different looking lineup for South this evening. No doubt Esteban Quintas is just looking to manage some of his charges a little bit with the midweek cup fixture. Everson scored 5 goals this year for Manningham United. Tuntis, he scored 3 times. He looks to play back here. Everson just doesn't have the help, and eventually a little too keen in his little battle there and a pursuit of that possession. It's given away the foul as a result. It was Ross Archibald that he infringed upon in the end. Harry Sawyer winning the foul here. It was Carter going to ground. Ross Clark ruling in favour of the South Melbourne striker. (13 league goals this season for Sawyer, and he may well be called upon here. It's an awkward ball. Zamaranis does well in the end. I think it was Jankovic, last week's scorer, not far away. You know, he and Jake Marshall like to push forward. They were both involved in that goal last week that sealed victory in Broadmeadows. No league wins for Manningham United in their last 7 starts coming into tonight. It was a late equaliser for Junior Carter last week to snatch a point off Green Gully. Prior to that, stayed with Dandenong Thunder under George Andrews, reserved for a lot of that particular fixture before going down in the end. Has been a good season in the top flight for Manningham United, compared with perhaps what the expectations were coming in. By no means completely safe right now from the drop, but their campaign to this point has shown plenty of promise for George Karkaletsis. Played on by Sawyer, the Spiteri throw. Mikola, first touch just opens up for Dower Cole. Golding can't control it. So South now looking to press a little more. Solid start to this game from the visitors. You're going to see the customary long throw here from Max Mikola. Was called for a foul throw last week at Hume City. Mr. McIntosh not happy with that. Now what's happened here? Marshall was all over Tuggett. It was an awkward ball for Tamaranis, but Manningham will live to fight another day here. South's record incredible. They've only dropped a total of 7 points in NPL Victoria in season 2024. Still alive in cup action as well, of course, after that thrilling win at BT Connor Reserve a couple of weeks ago at Preston Lions. Archibald sending one out wide. Sitanaris. One way to the other. Toward the back post. Junior Carter was there to deal with it. There's a chance there for Hilson. But we will have a South Melbourne corner here. Some solid names that are on the pints. No corner, in fact it will be a throw. May as well be a corner with the amount of distance that Max Mugler can get on these throws. At the post, and it's gone in! It's gone in! Mihailo Marikovic scores for South Melbourne. The long throw paying off for South. And it's Marikovic. His first top flight goal here for South. They'll be relying on the lesser knowns here this evening.
Goal scorer for South Melbourne, number 35, Mihailo Marinkovic.
It's only his 4th appearance of the season here in NPL Victoria, and he gives South Melbourne an early lead. Textbook sort of finish. Can Everson instantly reply here? Jankovic gets there in time. Offside may have been the call anyway on Everson. They can get you any which way, South Melbourne. A lot of lesser knowns out here tonight, including the man that's on the end of this ball, struggling to control it in the air, Mac Hilson. Mihailo Marikovic giving South Melbourne a 1-0 lead here. Manningham United had a good 5 or so minutes to start this game. Spiteri only picks out Junior Carter. It was always a low percentage shot to pick out Tunsis with that ball. Mikela outnumbered. Ramirez taking some body contact. Happens right in front of Ross Clark, referee this evening. It was 5-2 when these two teams first met. Back in March, hat-trick for Harry Sawyer that day. Golding, who is a threat up front for Manningham United. Spiteri played it well. Mikola Sawyer may well be onside here, but Zamaranis had come out. Nope, the flag does go up late. Castillo. Retrieved by Javier Lopez. Back in goal after being rested a couple weeks ago here against Moreland City. It was Willem Lejeune in goal for that particular fixture. I think it was a Sunday afternoon fixture. Sawyer happy to retreat all the way back to Marshall. Sitanaris misfiring. Nowhere near Ross Archibald. Cool evening as you would expect here at Lakeside. Sawyer, but the whistle is blown. No real cohesion in the final third right now for Manningham United, especially in the last couple of possessions they've had. Tuget. Dawa Cole. Alexander Castillo. Manningham United will be missing Christos Theodorakopoulos this evening. Leading scorer for the Blues this year with 7. Jankovic scored his second goal of the season against Hume last week. Hilson. There's no one central. But still an outnumber. Still a chance for South. Cole gets in the way. The ball was headed for Sawyer. Mikola blazes away. And out onto the athletics track here at Lakeside Stadium. Manningham's 3 wins, all coming in the first 9 fixtures of the season. It's been a lean stretch, though, of late. There's a chance here, overrun by Mikola. Just had to manhandle the defender in front of him. I suppose he didn't have to, but Tuget was in his way. He was well and truly outnumbered anyway. The points that they snared from Green Gully last week, their first in for what was nearly the best part of 2 months of action. First draw for the club in the top flight. Everson couldn't do much, but they'll get another shot here, Manningham United. It's Marco Tavella. Marinkovic, the man clearing out. It's Reece Dufton for Manningham United. Tuget. Can Everson make something happen here? Golding is the man with some space out wide. It was an awkward ball and hard to really make anything happen. So out for a goal kick. Javier Lopez may require some medical attention here potentially. Ross Clark has stopped play. We wonder now if the reigning goalkeeper of the year can actually keep his place out here. Will we see Willem Lejeune for the second time in 3 league fixtures? Javi Lopez will receive some medical attention now. So it was in the 11th minute. Mihajlo Marinkovic towards the back post from the long Max Mikula throw. That gave South Melbourne this 1-0 lead here against Manningham United. Manningham have kept up with the league leaders here so far. Certainly, in fact, nearly leading the general possession, especially in the first 5 minutes, and they've responded relatively well to going down 1-0. Javi Lopez is back up on his feet now. Looks like he'll be able to keep his place out there. Willem Lejeune had at least ridded himself of the subs vest. He's now taking his gloves back off again. He won't be called upon for now. We resume here at Lakeside Stadium. Jankovic. Spiteri giving it up. Tavella setting Everson a task. Everson knew all along that that was going to run away from him. Half-hearted effort. Perhaps rightly so for that particular ball. Tuget perhaps misreading it as it came along to him, resulting in the mistake. And now Hilson with Tavella working on him. First booking of the night will be a yellow card for Max Mikula. Fourth yellow card of the season in collecting Junior Carter. Relatively easy decision for Ross Clark to make there. No long throw options here for Manningham United. Tavella. And then Ramirez playing back in toward the hot spot. No one there in a red and white shirt. Carter out wide. Everson. One way to the other. Still Everson as he got around Archibald, but he couldn't get around Marinkovic. He's doing it at both ends so far. Mihajlo Marinkovic. Castillo gets told to get up by Ross Clark. He's not happy about it. Looks like he gave Ross Clark a little serve as he got up and just asked why there was no foul. So we have Max Mikula on a yellow card here. One of his trademark long throws resulting in the one and only goal we have in this game so far. Golding Archibald couldn't make an impact. Tuiget from a fair way out. Placed it directly in the direction of Harvey Lopez. Had nothing to worry about. The best goalkeeper in NPL Victoria, arguably. Now that Michael Weir's back in the fray for Hume City, he may have something to say about that. So Jankovic here. Zach Spiteri. Well played by Hilson with some assistance from Mikola. Mikola moving it on quickly. Sawyer is onside this time. Castillo killing it off. Another long throw from Max Mikola coming up. And it was from this sort of area where he did set up the goal for Marinkovic. And Marinkovic is steaming his way into the box now. They're looking to replicate what happens in the 11th minute. And things are a bit chippy in the box right now. The Manningham United defender has actually gone down. George Zamaranis finds himself in the thick of it right now. Not entirely sure what happened to that Manningham United player that's on the deck at the moment. Must say, it did go down rather theatrically, given that we weren't even engaged in any live play. Mikola's still waiting to throw this ball back in. Ross Clark injects himself into the situation to sort things out. Things are a bit hot in the kitchen here at Lakeside Stadium at the moment. All the while, Max Mikola still has not been given the all clear to restart play. Ross Clark engaged in multiple conversations. Now, just sending Marko Jankovic off with a word or two. And after all of that, we finally have Max Mikola's throw. The first one of these resulted in a goal for South Melbourne. This one won't. Tuiget for Manningham United. Carter. Golding the main go-to on that right side so far this evening. Got denied that time. Mikola was on his way through, and a card's going to be shown to Marco Tavella. Normally pretty clean is Tavella. Doesn't often have his number go into the referee's book. Didn't want to let Mikola on the loose. No real flow to this game at the moment. Had a couple of disciplinary stoppages in the last couple of minutes. Marshall. Evans playing back toward Harvey Lopez. Jankovic. Spiteri, first time. Mikola has 3 to deal with. That proved to be too much in the end. Some protests for which way the throw should go. That call goes Manningham United's way. Tavella for Everson. He's been working hard so far, Ben Everson. Difference, though, in attack for these two right now. Somewhat expectedly. South just a little more clinical in their approach to goal compared to Manningham. Manningham just not producing too many clean passages and clean looks at goal at the moment. As we see another long throw coming up from Mikola. Back post as the ball did bounce up, and eventually the possession dies with a wayward shot from Sitsanaris. Mentions before some really handy potential substitutes for Esteban Quintas tonight. He has got St Albans in the Donkey Cup to think about on Wednesday evening. But Andy Brennan, Mario Barcia, Noel Bernarda, all sitting on the pine this evening. He could get some minutes later on. Fixture gods in the league at least did look after South with the next league game coming on Sunday. It'll be a 5-day break and then a 4-day break going into the Great Derby against Heidelberg United. That was a fixture last year that was being played on a Wednesday night from memory as a catch-up game the same night as the World Cup semi-final. The Matildas unfortunately going down to England. There's a free kick here. Sitsanaris has taken some heavy contact, and eventually South are going to get a look at a long-range set piece, but for now Sitsanaris just has to walk that one off. He's up on his feet now. I think it was Kane Shepherd scoring a late winner for Heidelberg that night that handed the title to Avondale. As the ball comes in from Marinkovic. Spiteri. All the way back to Lopez. Cole into the night sky. Turget giving it away too cheaply. Max Mikola starting the run-up from lane 2 here. Moranis does get glove to ball. Everson on the counter. And this may be a decent chance here. Everson's ball, though, not enough on it to reach Carter. Retrieved by Sitsanaris. And now Sawyer with no one in the box for him. Arkol got in his way. Out for a goal kick in the end. Darryl Cole having a good year at left back for Manningham United. "11 minutes of regulation." We could well get 2 or 3 minutes added on here. There's been a few stoppages throughout this first half. I say a few, I do really mean that. There was an injury concern at one point for Harvey Lopez, but he's still out there in goal for South Melbourne. Saw Sitanaris go down not too long ago. One stoppage where Max Mikula was waiting for a long throw in to the South Melbourne box, and there was some shenanigans going on there that resulted in Ross Clark halting play and having conversations with multiple players for both sides. Still not sure what happens in that particular situation. There was a Manningham United player that went down. It wasn't anything to do with actual live play, and again now something has sparked up again. This is happening right in front of the South Melbourne dugout. I'll say it again, things are chippy out here tonight. And you especially don't want things to fire up pretty much right on that bench area. Ross Archibald's on the grounds at the moment. You don't want subs and coaches getting involved in the fray. Archibald gets up now. It's been a fiery one here so far. Bookings already for Max Mikula and Marco Tavella. Ross Clark's had a bit to do here at Lakeside on a Friday night. Standalone fixture in NPL Victoria to kick off round 17. There was a booking that we'll try to confirm shortly. For Manningham United. We'll try our best to confirm exactly who that yellow card was shown to when we can. Mikula. Spitzieri. Back to Lopez. Looks like it was James Tuntis who was shown that yellow card. Sawyer. Carter does well. Now Everson. Nothing coming in the end. Junior Carter first in dispossessing Harry Sawyer, and then that through ball through to Everson. That looks really promising for Manningham United. They've had a couple of those little moments, Everson in particular, but the South press out the back just really choking up Manningham United really well so far when they do go forward. Came off Castillo, which means another throw here for Max Mikula. 26 minutes ago from this exact situation. The long throw in, resulting in a goal for Mihailo Marinkovic for South. Marinkovic again, and then one more time. Nothing coming. What they're really doing, they're just flooding that space directly in front of the goalkeeper. Tamaranis is having to come from a couple deep to get glove on ball. And from our vantage point up here, he is having a hard time at the moment. in dealing with these long throws from Max Mikkola, especially if Mikkola's placing him really close to him. He'll clear away here. They are proving to be a genuine problem tonight for Manningham United. These long Max Mikkola throws. Carter's ball. It falls through to Harvey Lopez. It's a familiar scoreline for South Melbourne, 1-0. They had to wait to the 90th minute last week to register that particular score and get the W out at Broadmeadows. Thrilling battle, that one. A real tactical chess match between Esteban Quintas and David Chick. There's plenty going on between those two. I was watching it firsthand alongside Lockie Flanagan on the call last week. We were quite entertained by the byplay between Chick and Quintas. Esteban Quintas at one point coming out of his box during the first half and giving David Chick a big bear hug. Perhaps they didn't get a chance to meet in great pre-game. Plenty of verbal as well, particularly from Esteban Quintas throughout the night. There was late in the game that foul throw that was called on Max Mikkola, and that drew the ire of Esteban Quintas because he thought that maybe David Chick had put the idea into the referee's head to look out for it. And then it was called. And Esteban Quintas did not like that at all. Some sort of kissing motion that he was making, suggesting perhaps that the officials had just looked after Hume City a little bit there in a way that wouldn't normally happen. It was rather fascinating stuff. There's already been a bit going on in front of the dugouts tonight. There was a coming together a couple minutes ago. Ross Archibald had gone down, a yellow card had been shown as well to Jimmy Tauntis after something had happened right in front of Esteban Quintas. Obviously, we're away from the two dugouts here tonight from our vantage point, so we're not going to get a great look at exactly what's happening on the sidelines. Nice control there by Dufton. And then gets a shove for his trouble. George Sitsinaris didn't have to think too hard about that one. Or Ross Clark, I should say. It was George Sitsinaris who gave way to foul. Ross Clark with one of the easier decisions he'll have tonight. Three minutes left in regulation, but don't be surprised if 2 or 3 minutes go on the fourth official's board here at the ends of the 45. Manningham have been threatening here or there to maybe equalise, but Everson in particular has just been choked up for a lot of the evening so far when they do get half a look. No genuine shots on target, though, for the Blues. This will be the first Max Mikkola throw from the outer side this evening. Looks like he's run up there, starting from about lane 3 here. Dangerous, Sawyer, no power behind it. George Zamaranis was right behind it. Tavella. Everson here. Just had to take hold of that ball for a little moment and just buy a little bit of time. Ramirez. Still Ramirez. Ali Turgett. Golding is waiting at the top of the area. Went a little more direct toward Ramirez. Hilson having a hard time clearing out. Everson, but he's well back in the formation right now. Gets involved again. There's Everson. Carter. It's been a while since Tom Golding's had much to do. Does win the throw here. Manningham looking for a late first half equaliser. Archibald's going to retrieve, but only as far as Dower Cole. Another look here for the Blues. Don't be confused by that particular moniker. It is the team in red and white that are the Blues here tonight, the Manningham United Blues. With the red and white kit. I do believe there may have been 4 additional minutes added on here. So that's not surprising at the end of the first half. There's been a lot going on. Dufton nearly came together with Esteban Quintas there. In trying to keep that ball in Manningham's possession. Morgan Evans, one of 5 inclusions into the starting 11 for South this evening. Reece Dufton just using his body. He tried to throw himself over the top of it at one point there, but Manningham are going to emerge with possession. And 4 minutes added on. Tonsis here. The third thrower here is going to be Dufton. Nice little play on there by Ramirez. Turgett may have been fouled. Play continues though. Golding scored a lovely free kick 2 weeks ago at George Andrews Reserve against Dandenong Thunder. Golding doing it all himself. Everson had given up on it, and suddenly the ball was back at his feet again. And a wall of blue in front of him. Harvey Lopez remains untested in this first half. This man's had plenty to do. George Zamaranis, including one that did go past him. Mahalo Marinkovic with the goal for South Melbourne. George Carker lets us content with a 1-0 deficit going into the sheds here. Really seem that way right now. Castillo not keen to take too many risks in advancing it. Dufton looking to turn and go on Evans. It didn't work out. Lone Friday night fixture here to start round 17 in NPL Victoria. The game spread across 4 different days over the weekend in the top flight, including 4 tomorrow. The pick of them probably Dandenong Thunder and Altona Magic. 7 o'clock kickoff at George Andrews. It's an important game for both sides. Castillo giving away the corner. St Albans Melbourne Knights get Sunday all to themselves. A 3 o'clock kickoff at Churchill. And Oakley hosting Dandenong City on the public holiday Monday. And again, Damaranis just slightly out of position. Ross Clark calls it a day, half-time. And in some respects, perhaps Manningham United lucky that it's just a 1-0 deficit.
Here at Lakeside Stadium, Victoria set up Melbourne 1. Manningham.
It was Mihailo Mirikovic with the goal in the 11th minute. That's your difference here at Lakeside Stadium. We'll take a break here on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel. It's South Melbourne 1, Manningham United 0.
coming on number 8, Mario Barcia, and number 24, Noel Bernarda, replacing number 34, Mac Hilson, and number 35, Mihailo Marinkovic.
Welcome back to Lakeside Stadium. Round 17 opener between South Melbourne and Manningham United. Adam Sarikoglu here on the call on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel. And you won't be too surprised to hear, as we see Ramirez blazing away, you won't be too surprised to hear that we've had 2 halftime substitutes for South Melbourne, including our scorer, Mihailo Marinkovic, and Mac Hilson making way for Mario Barcia and for Noel Bernarda. So some managed minutes this evening for a couple of South Melbourne's top liners ahead of Wednesday night's Doherty Cup fixture against St Albans. That's on Wednesday here at Lakeside, and that obviously also serving as a national stage qualifier between 2 top flight teams. Looking forward to that one. The majority of the next rounds of the Doherty Cup, round 7, taking place in the middle of next week. Did also see Robert Harding warming up at halftime for Manningham United, so we may not be too far away from seeing him. In fact, I can actually confirm, missed this during the interval, he is actually out there now. So 3 changes made at half-time, including one for Manningham United. Robert Harding is indeed out there. This is Golding, working on this left side after primarily working the right wing in the first half. The ball incoming from Dufton doesn't amount to much for Harding. Actually wonder if it is Ben Everson that's come out. Can't currently see Ben Everson out there for Manningham United. So Harding for Everson. And then Bernarda and Barcia in for Hilson and Marinkovic, who did score to give South Melbourne this 1-0 lead. It's a 5-day break for South going into round 7 of the Doherty Cup. Fair bit on the line in that one against St Albans. Right now, Ramirez, as he sends it centrally toward Golding. Golding, it comes unstuck for him. Manningham have been pressing for an equaliser, but haven't been able to fire away a decent chance just yet. Bernarda's first major involvement across in, dealt with by Akol. It was Carter falling over and not finding Castillo. And the Max Mikula long throw has already struck once this evening for South Melbourne. Now primarily from this left side throughout the first half, including the one that resulted in the goal for Marinkovic. Max Mikula just getting some advice from the 4th official before being allowed to send it in. Jankovic up front as well as Marshall. It was Jankovic who scored the late winner for South last week. All the way back to Javier Lopez. I'd be surprised if he potentially comes off in the second half as well. given that he was under a bit of an injury cloud earlier in this match. Savella gets it from Golding. Only as far as Bernarda. Mikola. It turned around and suddenly there was a tiny amount of space centrally, but he did retreat back to Evans. Garcia is also one of the new men out there now. Archibald. Marshall. Ross Archibald again. It's Bernarda here. Corner is the result. Savella did well. It's a pretty low corner count in the first half. Not actually sure if South had one in the end. It'll be Mikola with the out-swinging ball. Sawyer, Archibald available up front. Sawyer. Back in the hands of George Zamaranis. They've been pretty leaky this year, Manningham United. They've given away 45 goals in 17 fixtures, including 5 against South Melbourne back on the first weekend of March. 6 if you want to count tonight's goal from Mihajlo Mirinkovic. Titsanaris here towards the back post, and happy to give away the corner is Castillo. Second one in as many minutes here for Mikola. It's a chilly night. They're all going to be chilly nights from here on out in season 2024. Did walk the pitch a little bit at half time. It's actually fairly dewy out there. No rain to speak of throughout the day here in Melbourne, but it's fairly slippery and saved on the line. Jankovic had nearly scored twice in as many fixtures. They get away with it. It was a good header by Marko Jankovic. Zamaranis was nowhere near it. Didn't catch who the defender was that saved it on the line. But it stays 1-0. Now they'll look to counter. Carter couldn't get past Marcia. There was some help available to get Harding wedged between Marshall and Jankovic. And it's back with Javier Lopez. He's only scored twice this season, Marko Jankovic, but he's just finding some form up front of late. Can't get much closer to scoring than that. Golding with no room to work with, I should say. Tried to say. Got it out eventually. Ramirez sending it wide for Golding. Castillo going first time. Marko Jankovic goes down rather theatrically, but flag was up the entire time. Tough little stretch of the season for Manningham United. Next away fixtures at Avenger Park in a couple of weeks from now against the reigning champs. They'll be hosting Port Melbourne Sharks on Saturday. It's just a very different proposition when we're at Petty's Reserve and Manningham United. They have given some of the biggest names in NPL Victoria massive headaches at home. Not been so impactful on the road. That goal does not clear out here. And the recovery effort actually does work out in the end. So Manningham United throw. Bernarda swooping in. And here's a big moment. Sitsanaris for South Melbourne. Calls for handball will go unheard by Ross Clark. Sitsanaris makes a meal of it. Was he put off by those handball calls? Be it real or exaggerated, may have worked out anyway for Manningham United. Junior Carter out towards Tavella. 2-on-2 situation. Works out nicely for Manningham United. Ball's intended for Harding, but blocked on the way through. Golding. Sitsanaris gives it up to Dufton. Ramirez. Carter. Tuntis. Had Evans working on him. Not out of danger just yet, South. This is a 50-50 ball that's going to fall Sitsanaris' way here. Sawyer is the only man ahead for him. But then the space was filled in nicely by Noel Bernarda. His ball is ultimately blocked by Junior Carter. Barcia Mikola, was he fouled by Tuggett? The advantage allowed. Sawyer, Sitsanaris this time going back. Goal line situation. Max Mikola gets back up on his feet now. I think Ross Clark had allowed the advantage to go there. No bookings in the end. Did have 3 in the first half, including this man, Tuntis. Barcia gets in his way. The play's finally going to stop here. Ross Clark had just withheld from blowing the whistle for a while. Looks like Andy Brennan is warming up for South Melbourne as we have our first major stoppage of the second half here. Will be a set piece coming up for Manningham United. And Tom Golding's going to be the main threat here. It was Ramirez that went down. If you haven't seen Thomas Golding's goal against Dandenong Thunder a fortnight ago, go back and watch it. It was a beautiful free kick. Perhaps a little closer in from where this one will be taken. A good 10 yards or so to the left from here. This is more direct, I suppose, in terms of the angle on goal. Looks like we're going to get a couple of changes here from Esteban Quintas. Andy Brennan is ready to come on. There's going to be a second sub as well for South. A double move coming up for the league leaders. Looks like Tom Golding's not going to be called upon for this particular free kick. Ramirez and Twiggett over the top of the ball here. Will they put Harvey Lopez to the test from long range? Now Ross Clark just checking on the South Melbourne wall. A bit of time has passed since the foul. And finally, Ross Clark is going to allow this shot to be taken. Ramirez, not far away. Toward the left post he went. Lopez had it covered, but it wasn't a bad effort. Noel Bernarda. Tavella gets in his way. Tavella took the contact. He did well and won the foul in the end. Had no choice but to go. Noel Bernarda would have been one-on-one with George Zamaranis. He's done very well in the end, Marco Tavella. And here come the changes. Andy Brennan on for Max Mikula. He was carrying a yellow. Emil Payos. Will be the other change for George Sitsinaris.
For South Melbourne, coming on, number 16, Emil Payos, and number 7, Andy Brennan. Replacing number 22, Max Mikula, number 80, George Sitsinaris.
Both did their jobs tonight. Marco Tavella, wonder if his night may well be done because he is also carrying a yellow card. James Tuntis is the other Manningham player that's been booked this evening. Some final bits and pieces added onto his calf. Looks like he's going to be sent to the sideline, at least for the time being. No substitutes are being readied by George Karkaletsis. Marco Tavella putting his body on the line. If he didn't do something, Noel Bernarda was off to the races. He won the free kick for his efforts as well. Expect him to come back out as play does finally resume. Enthralling battle, this one. Stufton is not going to give himself the long run up here. It's going to give himself some sort of run up. An attempt a long throw here, but it won't be of the ilk of Max Mikula. It doesn't actually go the long route in the end. Albert Harding's parked himself in the box. Ball incoming. Came on for Ben Everson at half time. Junior Carter falling over. Another set piece here for Manningham United. Interesting that Tom Golding didn't get a look in for the previous one. And again, it may well be Jose Ramirez that gets the opportunity, and it wasn't a bad free kick either. It was low and to the left post. Couldn't necessarily tell if it came off the post or off the right glove of Harvey Lopez. Lopez probably had it covered anyway, but it was a good effort. Now we are just checking on an injured South Melbourne player here, right where the wall is. No, it's not an injured player indeed. It's just the old lie on the ground trick. Given that the last free kick was low, this one a little higher. The wall does its job. Bernarda been quite lively since coming on. Outwitted by Junior Carter. So it remains just 1-0 here. Another change is coming up. James Tuntis is done. Mohamed Al-Sadi is going to come on. Just his 6th appearance of the year for Manningham United. Has 1 goal to his name in NPL Victoria. Tuntis was carrying a yellow. The discipline records for these two sides have
substitution for Manningham
been quite starkly different this year.
Tuntis, replacing number 15, Mohamed Al-Sadi.
Noel Bernarda here, looking to just buy a bit of space on Tavella. Tamaranis clears out. Always weary of the back pass here in NPL Victoria. There's been a couple of indirect free kicks this year. Yeah, so 5 red cards, I should say, for Manningham United this year. South has not had a single player sent off all season long. Mr. Banquintas just takes a little fall there. Some levity appreciated by the crowd here. Did say it was slippery out there. Doesn't look it. And given the weather's been relatively dry in Melbourne today, you wouldn't necessarily be expecting it to be so dewy. Harry Sawyer, here's some space. Brennan, it's a goal! It's 2-0. It doesn't take much for South to strike. And Andy Brennan, a half-time substitute, comes on and doubles the lead for South Melbourne.
Goal scorer for South Melbourne, number 7, Andy Brennan. South Melbourne 2, Manningham 0.
Andy Brennan's 3rd goal of the season, handing South a 2-0 lead. Just a breakdown at the back for Manningham United. Noel Bernarda has been causing massive headaches. He and Brennan both coming on at half-time. Brennan hasn't been overly busy. Noel Bernard has been involved in every single attack, it feels, for South. Brennan with the space unmarked and a clean finish. Tucked into the bottom left corner. Yellow card for Ross Archibald. He's already served the ban this year for 5 previous yellows. Cole. Just a little loose there when he got the ball back from Ramirez. Pios going down in front of Golding. Golding just giving him an earful, telling him to get back up, son. Keep on going. Nothing to see here. Now Golding has Evans working on him as well as Pios. Again, look at the space here for Noel Bernarda. It could very easily be 3-0 here. Well done, Alexander Castillo. George Karkaletsis needs to figure something out on how to deal with Noel Bernarda at the moment. Scored the equaliser in that 5-2 win. Did Noel Bernarda against Manningham United at Petty's Reserve earlier this year. That was obviously the first league meeting between these two ever. Back in March, there was a friendly back in 2019, resulting in a 3-3 draw between these two. Prior to that, there's a Manningham man down at midfield at the moment. South will clear their lines here. That man's back up on his feet now, but still clutching his lower back. He's got it now. It's Ramirez. Perks back up all of a sudden when the ball arrived at his feet. Sawyer. South are just looking deadly at the moment. Carter, surrounded by blue. Twiggett wins a throw here for Manningham United. Carter losing out. Archibald deflects back off Dufton. Ends up with Andy Brennan. Noel Bernarda again. Castillo there with him. Payos. Splits the middle between Sawyer and Brennan. Evans for Barcia. Payos. Out to Brennan once more. Dawa Cole. Positioned himself nicely. And it gets away from Andy Brennan. Well, no 2-0 lead ever really feels safe, especially just in the 73rd minute. I wonder if that's enough of a buffer just for Esteban Quintas to start projecting ahead to that Doherty Cup fixture against St Albans on Wednesday next week. Nice 5-day break going into that cup fixture for South. Bernarda and Brennan both starting on the bench this evening. Here is Brennan. Mikola has been subbed out. Golding slipping over on that dewy turf out there. He's in great condition, this surface, but I was surprised just to see how dewy it was out there at halftime. Ramirez. Spiteri gets a boot in for South Melbourne. Seven league fixtures without a win for Manningham United. 12th on the table coming into round 17. Of course, we don't yet know for sure what relegation even looks like in NPL Victoria at the moment. Whether it'll be 1 or 2 going down. Of course, 12th will secure safety. Every point's vital right now for Manningham United. It's Moreland City and South Melbourne that are in the gun at the moment. Moreland's got a tough task at Avenger Park tomorrow afternoon. We've got a change here for Manningham United. Lucas Heravim is now in. St Albans, it's a huge clash for them, hosting Melbourne Knights on Sunday. Expecting a good crowd to that one between two local foes. Always a good atmosphere at Churchill Reserve. Manningham will be hosting Port Melbourne on Saturday. South's next league fixture at Olympic Village against one of their oldest foes in Heidelberg United. Ramirez. Al-Sadi had a rough time. Wasn't happy with the treatment he got from Barcia. Harding. Golding. Ramirez. Al-Sadi. They've not fired a single shot from open play tonight to really test Javi Lopez. There was a free kick earlier in this second half that Jose Ramirez had snuck underneath the wall and it cannoned into the left post. Lopez was there anyway, but that was the best look at goal tonight so far for Manningham United. A 2-0 deficit here that looks more and more as though that it's going to get away from them here tonight, this particular game. Something's happened with Al-Sadi and the crowd not happy with how easily he went down perhaps. Brennan, can he link up with Sawyer? Has to go a little further back than that. Archibald. Sawyer. Displaying some athleticism there in getting the cross in the end with Ackle right on him. Ross Clark will stop play again. Every time a Manningham United player goes down right now, they do hear about it from the South Melbourne fans here. Not the biggest crowd that you'll ever see here at Lakeside tonight, but a vocal one. Occasionally we can, from our vantage point here, just hear some of the comments that are coming from the other side of the pitch here. Some good acoustics here at Lakeside Stadium. Certainly the music has been blaring both pre-game and at half-time. We're underneath one of the main speakers here on this side, and the pump-up music, whatever it is that the DJ has on offer here this evening, is really been quite loud. Tavella takes a touch on the way in. Al-Sadi is denied. It was Barcia. South ball. Just a little over 10 minutes left in regulation. Mihajlo Marinkovic out of nowhere. The scorer of the first goal here tonight. Subbed out at halftime. One of the men that came in, because it was both he and Hilson that was subbed out at halftime. Brennan came in at the break along with Noel Bernarda, and Brennan scored in the 67th minute to make it a 2-0 lead for South Melbourne on the verge of win number 14. Up to now, have only dropped 7 points in their whole season. It's a 4-point gap that they hold against Oakley. That'll obviously become 7 before Oakley get their shot on Monday against Dandenong City. Al-Sadi. And finally they, from open play at least, really force Harvey Lopez to make a genuine save. It's a corner. Here's Manningham United about to really spark into action here and put the league leaders to the test. A goal that falls over his head. It's a goal kick. Four NPL Victoria games to look forward to tomorrow. Green Gully and Heidelberg United to kick things off. That now customary 1 p.m. Saturday kickoff for Green Gully. They've been playing a lot of Saturday afternoon games of late. They were away, obviously, on a Saturday arvo at Petty's Reserve last week in the wet on that artificial turf, and I wonder if it was the turf that played a role in Abdul Abdallah not being out here tonight. He was subbed off in the 27th minute after slipping over against Gully. Dufton's going to reclaim this ball for Manningham United. Avondale hosting Moreland City in their normal 3 p.m. Saturday time slot. Port Melbourne taking on Hume City at 5. And then at 7, Dandenong Funds and Altona Magic. It's a perfect sequence of kickoffs every 2 hours. An absolute marathon of NPL Victoria action. Got 8 consecutive hours of action tomorrow in NPL Victoria. Ramirez. I wonder if that was a little closer than perhaps it may have looked. And Sunday, the one and only kick-off at 3 p.m, St Albans and Melbourne Knights. And 24 hours later, round 17 concluding with Oakley hosting Dandenong City. Oakley are going to be facing a 7-point gap to South Melbourne once this one's done and dusted, unless we see some really, really late and unexpected drama from the men in red and white here tonight. Avondale 1 point further back at the moment. They'll obviously be a heavy favourite against Moreland City tomorrow in the second kickoff. Fixtures really worked out well tomorrow. Kudos to the fixture makers at FV with Those 2-hour intervals between the 4 games. We're going from 1 p.m. all the way through to about 9 p.m. tomorrow. Absolute feast of NPL Victoria action. Some of those games are vital. Dandenong Thunder and Altona may well be the pick of them in terms of what's on the line between the two and how evenly matched they'll be. Port Melbourne Hume, another one to really look forward to. All of it live on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel. Same way you're taking us in here this evening. Pios, this is a good look at 3-0. Overhead of Brennan. Corner for South Melbourne. Shouts of, come on, let's win the game right here, right now. For South Melbourne, they'll well and truly be able to start thinking about Wednesday evening. Important Doherty Cup clash against St Albans here at Lakeside Stadium. Someone had run into that front post there. Moranis did collect the ball pretty quick. It was a shallow corner. Junior Carter having a rough time. Ultimately being outmanned. Archibald. Pios. Nicole gets a boot in. Pios again. Moranis gets in there. Oh well, Bernarda. His first 25 minutes or so in this second half were absolutely outstanding. Play will continue here. The crowd not happy. It's been a vocal crowd here on a chilly Friday night. Of course, Wednesday night's game doubling up as a qualifier for the national stages of the Australia Cup as well. Probably won't get the same sort of crowd that South played in front of in round 6 of the Doherty Cup. What a night that was at BT Connor Reserve. Unfortunately, was unable to get there myself. Really wish I could be there, but unfortunately had some other commitments. I was at Hume City the next night. That was an interesting night. Hume City needing to come from behind, going 2-0 down to Bayside Argonauts. And plenty of drama as always in the Cup this year. Manningham out of the Cup. They're running out of time. Just a minute and a half left in regulation. Junior Carter, the scorer last week. It was a really late equaliser. Scored from a corner. Some changes late here for Manningham. Luca Iacovetti, one of the changes. Alex Viola, the other. Tom Golding is coming off. I don't know if I spotted the other man that made way. It's Dufton. He's come off here on this near broadcast side. Good shift by Reece Dufton. So some late minutes here for a couple of youngsters for Manningham United. Second appearance of the year for both Iacoviti and Viola. I'll host Port Melbourne and then go to Avenger Park up next in the league. .90 minutes are up here. 5 additional minutes added on the fourth officials board. And that'll just breathe a little bit of life into Manningham United. That'll keep their tails up a little longer. Had a few moments tonight, but South just so disciplined defensively. There's a reason they've only conceded 13 league goals this season. They themselves haven't necessarily been generating chance after chance all night long. Brennan's goal was just a moment of a defensive lapse for Manningham United where Brennan was afforded some space. Flag goes up here. Al Sardi was in the region. It was a wild attempt at goal from Lucas Herovim. Had to get through a number of bodies if it was to even connect properly off his boot, which it didn't. South Melbourne on the verge of win number 14. And their 5th in a row in NPL Victoria. Pios on side here. There was no flag. Zamaranis. They might be resigned to defeat now, Manningham United, but they'd love a goal here at Lakeside against the league leaders. Al Sardi was the one that was working near the area out for a goal kick. Don't forget, 4 kickoffs, 2 hours apart tomorrow in NPL Victoria. All starts at 1 p.m. All the way through to a 7 p.m. kickoff. It lands with Dandenong Thunder and Altona Magic. Gully hosting Heidelberg United at 1. Avondale and Morelands at 3 p.m. Port Melbourne, Hume City at 5. Dandenong Thunder and Altona at 7. St Albans will play Melbourne Knights 3 p.m. Sunday. Oakley hosting Dandenong Thunder 3 p.m. on Monday. The King's birthday public holiday. South's long weekend's off to a good start. They'll be able to put their feet up ahead of Wednesday. And it's 8 with St Albans in the cup. Hilo Marinkovic was the scorer of the opening goal tonight. The intention all along was for him to only play the first half. He was subbed out at half time and found himself an unlikely scorer in the 11th minute. It came off a long Max Mikula throw. Mikula had a number of long throw opportunities in the final third throughout the first half. A couple here in the second before he was subbed out as well. So it paid off for South. Anzi Brennan in some open space from the top of the box in the second half, and he's at the top of the box here with Sawyer finally sending it in. Zamaranis gets there for Manningham United. There were 5 minutes added on. So we are nearly done here at Lakeside. Win number 14 coming up for South Melbourne. It's been a near flawless campaign for them so far. A look at the watch for Ross Clark, and he's happy with what he has seen here tonight, as are the South fans. A vocal South Melbourne crowd has seen their side take a 2-0 win against Manningham United. Mahalo Marinkovic in the 11th minute, Andy Brennan in the 67th minute. Your two goal scorers here on a Friday night to kick off round 17 in NPL Victoria. Hope you enjoyed it. Big Saturday of action coming up. Quadruple header kicking off at 1 p.m. with Green Gully taking on Heidelberg United. So stay glued to the NPL Victoria YouTube channel. Big 8 hours of action coming up tomorrow in NPL Victoria. But here on a Friday night, we are done. South Melbourne 2, Manningham United 0.